Okay. Mars Bonfire, so great to meet you. Thank you for coming on the Wildfire Radio Hour.
I'm happy to be here.
Wow. So I am just so excited to meet you. I love your music. I love what you've done with your career. And I gotta ask you, I've been dying to know, how did you get into music? Like, what was the first thing? I know you and your brother grew up playing together, but like, how'd you get inspired to write and play music?
Our father operated a ballroom in Canada, and he would bring in swing bands and then later on rock and roll. And as a youngster, I would go down to the ballroom with him and hang out. And I heard this music live
Uh,
uh, basically every week. And uh, then I ended up going to college and I was going to be a psychiatrist. But during a summer break, I got involved in a surf band, and then we got a singer. And to my amazement, we got a record deal with Capitol Records Canada. So I never went back to university. I just dropped out and followed music.
wow. And so, but you were thinking about being a psychiatrist?
Yes, my even though my early experience was very intensely involved with music, my father discouraged me from music as a career because he realized it's definitely unpredictable. But once I got a taste of it by playing in a surf band and getting a record deal, I realized that was my original love, and I was going to stay with that.
Wow, that is so cool. And I bet your father was so proud of you.
Eventually, at first, he was horrified, dropping out of college. And then you mentioned my brother, who ended up being the drummer in Steppenwolf. He was only in high school when I convinced him to drop out of high school and join the band. And
Wow.
that really set my parents for a loop.
My goodness, my goodness. That is just such a cool story. And so where are you now? Where are you located?
Reno, Nevada.
Okay, so you're down the road from me. I'm in LA.
Yeah, not too far away. We used to live in LA, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Spend
I
many
was reading up and I so you a lot of history here in LA for you. A lot of recording and stuff like that happened out here, huh?
Yes, yes.
Wow. What do you think about like what do you think about when you think of LA and your experience here?
When first of all, the band that became Steppenwolf had a precursor band in Canada called the Sparrow.
And later Sparrow, right?
Yeah. And we went first to New York, and then we came out to Los Angeles. And we happened to arrive on the West Coast during a very strong segment of the hippie movement, the psychedelic movement. So I loved it during that period. And then we went to San Francisco. I loved it there. Then back to Los Angeles. Um, I understand from friends who live there now that it's gotten quite crowded and maybe not as appealing as when I lived there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, that's really cool. I love to hear about, that's so interesting, the 60s and the hippie movement. And was there a difference between the San Francisco vibe and the LA vibe back there and then?
I think the San Francisco version of the psychedelic hippie movement was truly psychedelic, farther out perhaps than what was going on in uh, specifically Hollywood, where we lived and we played at the clubs on the Sunset Strip. Yeah, in San Francisco, there was the Avalon Ballroom, the Fillmore, and amazingly creative artists who did the promotional posters. And then while we played, there were these wonderful light shows going on in these two venues that I understand they did by shining light through bowls of oil. and then projecting onto the walls. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I know you got a birthday coming up on the 21st. Are you celebrating at home or hanging with the family?
Yeah, my wife and I are just going to go out. I'll be 81. I can't believe I've even lived this long.
Wow. Well, it sure is just an honor to talk to you. And I just have a couple more questions and we'll get back to the
Sure.
action. But tell me, oh, and shout out to Joshua Lane for connecting us, a mutual friend. What a great guy.
Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah, I enjoyed doing the interview with him.
Yeah, he's such a nice person. Um, so what about music these days? How is music in your life nowadays? Are you writing, you playing, or?
I'm not uh, professionally involved anymore uh, because I grew up with music and love music. Ideas still go through my head, and I'll maybe whistle a melody and so on, but I don't make a demo of anything. So it's just strictly for personal enjoyment. And in terms of listening, when I look at my playlist, what comes across is that I'm liking a lot of African music, um, Afro-Cuban music, and Bollywood music, soundtracks to the Indian movies. So it's a whole different world from the rock and roll period that I was in. But yeah, it's great now that digitally a person can sample music from all over the world. It's just a fascinating blend of creativity.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear about what you're listening to these days. And how do you consume your music digitally?
On Google, YouTube Music. Yeah.
YouTube. Oh, cool. That's what I do. I do a lot of YouTube music as well. I like it.
Yeah. I realize I can just put in a certain country and then all kinds of wonderful stuff will appear for that country. And I get to sample it and then I put whatever I like the best on my playlist.
Wow. That's really cool. And so one other interesting thing is one of my good friends down here, his name is Matt Axton. You might have known his dad, Hoyt Axton, and he ended up writing, the Pusher Man for Steppenwolf.
Oh, and Joy to the World. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that
Joy
one
to the
too.
World is one of my all-time favorite songs. It's just so happy and upbeat. Yeah. And the pusher so incredibly strong, cut him with a razor, shoot him, and so on. Yeah. He evidently had a bad experience with drug dealers.
Evidently. Wow. Yeah. So did you ever encounter Hoyt on your journeys or?
No, I was just aware of now what I heard. Uh, you mentioned that his son is writing. I heard that his mother wrote Heartbreak Hotel.
Yes, Mayborn Axton. Yep, she was a
Wow.
maven, country music maven. That's isn't that cool? Did you just hear that from the movie recently or?
No, I just, by word of mouth over the years, I've been told that. I never tried to verify it, but obviously music is solidly in that family.
Yeah, it really is, and it's really cool to see Matt being the third generation. And he tells me this story. I might not get it right, but you might find it interesting. Where he was on a plane, I think, with his mom, Matt was, and they were doing a crossword puzzle, and the question was, the only mother son combo to both have hit songs, and of course it was the Axon family, Mayborn. So Matt is trying to be the third. He's an amazing songwriter, has hundreds of songs. So maybe he can go for number three.
Oh, that'd be great. I hope he does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, anyway, so my last question is, do you when you're in Reno, there's a great music scene in Reno. I love Reno. Do you ever go out and see live music out there, or do you play music by yourself, like for your personal enjoyment?
Right. But my wife and I do go out quite a bit, almost every week, actually,
Nice.
because Reno has casinos and they all have showrooms. So we've seen like Kiss and Ringo Starr and his all-star band and uh, Diana Krall, on and on and on. We see so many acts live. That's one of the things we like about Reno is that every weekend there's an incredible amount of entertainment going on.
Well, that's so cool, and that's wonderful to hear. And so that's pretty much all for my question. But I did want to tell you, my band is working up a bluegrass version of "Born to Be Wild" because I think it fast bluegrass clip too.
That would be great to hear. Yeah, yeah.
I'll
So
say
your band that
the,
has a
the
banjo and so on?
yeah, banjo and fiddle, and the vibe is sort of like you know, out on the highway, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, bluegrass is really can be very upbeat and exciting.
Yeah, and I feel like it has it shares some uh some family, and I know that you use the term heavy metal in the song, and that your song is associated as sort of one of the first metal song in some ways. Have people told you that before?
Right. So I think, well, two reasons that the phrase heavy metal thunder is in there. And then perhaps even more importantly, prior to Steppenwolf coming up with that song, uh, pop music was pretty light. And they had a great guitar player with Michael Monarch who got a
Mm,
real solid, hard sound.
yeah.
And although it's not truly heavy metal, at least it would be considered hard rock, and perhaps among the first of the hard rock recordings.
Wow, that is so cool. Um, Bonfire, it sure has been a pleasure talking to you, and I just really appreciate your time today and sharing with us your insights.
Oh, I'm just so glad to be on the show and reliving the past.
Yes, yes, and I will send you if you want to have a listen later or something like that.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thanks a lot.
Right on, right on. Well, what's next?
Great.
Let me hold on, my mic's being weird. One second. Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes.
Is what are you doing? What are you having for dinner tonight?
I cook it myself. My wife doesn't cook, so I do all the cooking. So it's halibut fish with a whole bunch of diced vegetables and an Italian sauce.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Oh my goodness. Well, say hi to your wife for me. You have a great night, Mars, and I'll be in touch via email, and I'll send you our version of Born to Be Wild bluegrass style and see what you think of it. Would be honored.
Thanks, Kenny. Take
All right.
care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.